Hey YouTube, welcome back to Cassandra's Kitchen, where I eat to live and I live to eat. Today I'm going to be making a no meatloaf. So nuts and walnuts to turn it into this gorgeous mock meatloaf. So if you're interested in seeing how I create this delicious loaf, stay tuned and I'll show you. Family, so here we go. So we're going to be making our no meat meatloaf, and I say no meat meatloaf because if I say meatloaf, then I'm gonna get criticized and say, well, there's no meat in it. Well, I know it's no meat, so I say vegan meatloaf. Well, how's it meat and it's vegan? So I just say no meat meatloaf or nut loaf. So there you have it. So, but I'm going to be doing first today is sauteing up our veggies. So y'all, this is so simple and easy to make. If you've made a traditional meatloaf with ground beef before, or ground salt or ground turkey, it's the same thing basically. So I'm just doing all the things that I did in my regular meatloaf, taking out the beef and adding the walnuts and the mushroom substitute for my meat. That's it. And of course, no egg, but we'll get to that. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is sauteing my veggies down. So we have some onion, some yellow onion. I have an array of peppers. I have some orange bell peppers, green, yellow, red. I have some garlic cloves. I have some mushroom here. And I have a little bit of parsley that I think I'm gonna mix in my meat after it's all ready to go in the oven, because I made falafels the other day and I don't want to waste the parsley. So I think I'm gonna add a little parsley in there. And of course we have some chopped up kale that we're gonna combine in our meatloaf. It's not your traditional meatloaf. It's so much better. So, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna head over here to the stove. We're gonna start sauteing down this, and then when we get this on to saute, we're gonna start making our mock meat. So come on over here and I'll show you what I put in the skillet. I'm using avocado oil, and we'll go from there. All right, so here we go. So I have my stove on medium high. Again, I am using avocado oil. And so I have my diced up onions. This is about a cup and a half. I'm trying to measure for you guys because, you know, I don't really measure all the time. So I'm trying to keep it kind of simple and measure. But this was one large onion, yellow onion. So that's about a cup and a half of onion. You want to get that down in there. You want to just cook all this down. And then I have peppers. I have a variety of peppers. So this was like 3 peppers. I may not use all the peppers, but I'm going to see. I'm going to get them in here. See what I'm working with. Because I use peppers all the time. So what I don't use, I'll just store in the refrigerator. And trust me, they do not go to waste. So let me see here. I think that's plenty peppers. I got some, that's going to be probably 2 peppers there. And then I have fresh garlic. I chopped up 4 cloves of garlic. And I have about a cup and a half of baby bellas here that I want to get in there. Get those baby bellas down in there. And we'll save the rest of those peppers. Okay. And we're going to just let this basically cook down. But before I leave this section here, I got to put in my kale because I want my kale to cook down too. I got some kale here. And I've washed it. I cut it really small. So it's pretty much chopped kale. So 1 handful, 2 handfuls of chopped kale basically. And again, that cooks down to basically nothing. So we're going to get that in there. And so we're going to let this cook down until everything is good and tender. And then we're going to have this to go into our meatloaf. So I put some mushrooms in here, even though my my meat mixture is going to be made with mostly mushrooms and nuts. I just wanted to keep some of the mushrooms whole so you can see it in the meatloaf. So when you're eating the meatloaf, of course, you're going to see pieces of mushrooms because the other ones are going to be broken up so bad. You're not going to be able to see those. So what we're going to do is go ahead and let this cook down a little bit. Now here you can go ahead and start the seasoning process, which I like to season my veggies as they cook down. So what I'm going to add in here, let's get my seasoning over. Okay. So, gonna put a little bit of spike seasoning. I got spike in here. So, just a couple pinches of spike seasoning. That has a little bit of sodium in it. But then I'm using my salt-free garlic and herb Mrs. Dash. You can go heavy on that. I love everything to be to have a lot of flavor. So, and you know, I build as I go. I build each dish, each part of the recipe with its own flavor. So everything has its own flavor coming together, so it's not going to be bland. I do love my garlic, so I'm just adding a little bit more of my garlic here. And then, of course, that smoky flavored, smoky taste, I'm using smoked paprika. And I say about a teaspoon of that. So what I'm going to do is just let this part cook down. And as this is cooking down, we're going to go ahead and go back over here and we're going to start on our mock meat. So once we get the meat going and it's ready, we'll add that to this, cook it down a little bit more, and we'll build our meatloaf. All right, so this is cooked down to how I want it cooked down. You see all those peppers, you know, they cook down a lot. So this is what it looks like. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and start on our meat portion. And then we'll get all this combined together for our meatloaf. But I wanted to let you see what the cooked down results of the veggies look like. So there you have it. All right, so now we're going to be working on our meat. So what I've done, I've soaked some walnuts overnight. So I would recommend soaking them overnight so that way they'll be really soft. You can also cook them on the stove to boil them down a little bit, but I like to just soak them. So I'm going to try to measure these out a little bit. So there's 1 cup, because I'm going to be making quite a bit of this. 2 cups, 3 cups. So it's about 4 cups of nuts that I'm using. So I'll go ahead and get those in here. And then we're going to also be putting in, I have about 4 cups of mushrooms. So let me just measure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my measurement will be on point because I ain't even measured this before I put that in there. But I be doing this so much. Exactly 4 cups. What I say? Girl, that's because I'm in the kitchen all the time. But anywho, just so I can do it for you guys to know. So I'm making a really meaty, large meatloaf. No meatloaf. So what we want to do, we want to blend this down. So I like to blend this down so it becomes almost like a potted meat almost. So I'm just going to kind of move it around a little bit in here. But as I mentioned, I like to blend it down to it's almost like a potted meat. Only because it makes it for a real tender loaf and not a real nutty loaf. Because I want my meat to be, you know, real tender and not nutty. So if you want it more of a nutty, don't blend it as much. But I want mine to be blended really well down so it's more like a mush almost, because it turns into a great ground beef when you cook it up. keep moving this down in here, and a couple more twirls, and I think this is gonna be good. Okay. Move down in there slowly but surely. Maybe one more good twirl here and it's gonna be perfect. And it's like, oh, that looks like mush. Yeah, that's the concept. We want it to get it broken down really, really good. I've done it before and I've made my meat with it not being so broke down, and it's good, but it has, like I said, more of a nutty texture to it. Depending on what type of food processor you have, it may not take that many pulses. Just mine doesn't turn as fast. I mean, it's turning, but it's not like lifting everything off the sides. So that's why I have to go in and kind of move everything off the sides to make sure everything on the sides is the same consistency or texture as what's in the middle. So like I said, depending on what machine you're using, it may not take you this long to get it to this consistency. Perfect now, yes. So it has this potted meat sort of look, and you can see it as we go over here to the stove to put it in. You'll be able to see more of the texture of it. But this makes for a great taco meat, as well as, you know, for what we're using it for our meatloaf. So I'm gonna go ahead and come over to the stove. I have some a little bit of avocado oil in my pan. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna put this in the pan, cook this up, and then we'll start to mix it in. So come on over. So if you guys can see this, see what I was saying? It's like a mush, more like a potted meat. That's because we got all those nuts chopped up really good, as well as the mushrooms. So we want to get it in our hot skillet. So we're going to just cook this until it browns. And then as it browns, that's when we're going to start to build our meatloaf and get it in the oven. You can probably start putting it into the oven like this. I've never done that before. I just like to cook it because I know that it's going to be cooked right. So I like to cook it before I get it in the oven. Okay. So here we want to actually start seasoning our mixture here. And this part is very important because you want to get the savory taste of meat in your meatloaf. Oh, I also use, and this is optional, but whenever I have hemp seeds in the house and I'm doing my mock meat, I always add hemp seeds to it. Like I said, that's optional. That's probably about a half a cup. It's not necessary, it's not required, but I always do it if I have them in the house. If I don't have them in the house, I just go on without them. Okay, so the next thing we want to use that's really important for this dish is some Italian seasoning, either oregano, some basil, but I have the Italian blend. And so I'm going to try to just measure some of this out. I use this heavily. So one, let me just do it like this. 2, 3. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons. Because again, this is that savory taste I want. That I like in my meatloaf. I'm going to put a little bit of pink salt. Just maybe a half a teaspoon of pink salt in here. Not a lot. Okay. And then what we're going to put in here, we're going to use the rest of our, this is about, it's probably a tablespoon, almost close to a tablespoon. Yep. About a tablespoon of spike seasoning. Smoked paprika, we want about a tablespoon, or teaspoon, sorry, of smoked paprika. It's going to give us the smokiness of it. Of course, we can't go without a little extra garlic in there. And I always say this, and y'all hear me say this all the time, season to your own likings. And I'm going to put just a little bit more of the original Mrs. Dash. I used the garlic one last time. Okay. So, this is going to make for a very flavorful meat base. If you want a little spice, you can put some cayenne pepper in here. You want a little heat to it or whatever. But like I said, season to your own likings. And this is going to cook for maybe 5 minutes or so. We just want it to brown and get in all those seasonings down in here really good. This is our meat base. And this is what we're going to mix with our peppers. This is what's going to make our meatloaf. Y'all, this tastes so much like ground beef. I love to make tacos out of this. And all I do is just, use the taco seasonings, how I season my tacos. I just season this the same way. So that's all you do. You just kind of take the same recipe you had. So if you have a meatloaf recipe before you went vegan that you loved, those seasonings, incorporate that into this. So that way you will still feel like you having the same thing. You just using a different meat. And so this meat is so easy to make. You see how it's mushied up a little bit? It's not really crunchy. We got everything broken down in here. The mushrooms and those walnuts. And the hemp seeds, they don't have a really tough texture anyway. So that's why I don't blend them up in there. I just put them into the skillet because I like that little texture that it gives. So just an extra little nut in here. So I guess this is a nut loaf, right? But yeah, we're just going to brown this down for about 5 minutes. And then once this is done, we're going to get everything mixed up really well together. And taste as you go, guys. Taste this now. There's nothing raw in there. Taste it. Make sure it tastes good. Let me just do a little taste. Oh my gosh, yes. Savory. That Italian blend, that gives you that savory, meaty taste. Love it. You can't do it without that. So, that's that. And we're going to go ahead and just cook this down for just maybe a couple more minutes. That's it. A couple more minutes here. And then we're going to start mixing everything together. All right, so the meat is done. So what I've done, I've put it in a bowl. It's still a little warm because I just took it off the stove. Sometimes it's good to kind of let it cool off if you want to do your hands in there. But our veggies are all cooled off. So this is where we want to start mixing everything together. Just get this one out of there. Okay. So we're just going to get our veggies in here. This is going to be delicious. Okay. And we don't want a dry loaf. And, you know, you're like, well, where's the eggs? You know, we always put eggs in there. So technically, you know, if you need something, if you need to loosen it up and you want to make it stick, I have a trick for you. I'll show you in just a second. But I want to get all this yummy goodness out of this pot. I don't like wasting nothing. So we got that in there. Okay. So we're just gonna mix. See, a lot of times if it's gooey and sticky good, you don't have to worry about it. But if it's not, I'll show you how to bind it really well. But look at that. Oh my gosh. Just get all that mixed in that meat really good. And I'm going to go ahead and add this little bit of parsley in here. Chopped up some parsley. Like I said, I made falafels. And I had some leftover parsley. I was like, pretty sure it'll be good in there. Just add a little bit more savory to the meat. Put that in here. Okay. And I need to do a little taste of this. Tastes good, y'all. Okay. Now, because I'm going to let this cook in the oven for about 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes like a meatloaf. So here's what you do. So I'm going to give it a little bit liquid, just to sort of pack really good, not be dry. But I'm going to bind it with some chickpea flour. Yay! And I have some vegetable broth. Yay! So let me get my, so you don't need much. You don't need much, but I want to loosen it up just a little bit so to give it the opportunity to cook good. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of chickpea flour in there. And a little bit of liquid. Doesn't take much. Just to get it nice and gooey, so it's not dry. But we don't want no dry meatloaf. There we go. And this is a good time now for the kitchen gloves. Yay! Because I want to get my hands dirty. You know? I want to get my hands all down in this meatloaf. So I always have some gloves handy, which I never have them in the kitchen. And then I always end up getting my hands dirty. But today I was like, you know what? I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be prepared. Y'all, I'm getting better, y'all. Y'all know I be having my stuff out. I be prepared a little bit more. My husband ain't talking about me in the background. I'm talking about, girl, you ain't never got your stuff together. That's all right, though, because I'm getting better. So, anyway. Just, oh yeah, you know how you do your meatloaf? Just play with it, you know? Look at that. See, it's textured. It makes a nice ball. You can make a nice burger. Hey, if you want to do a burger out of this, just show y'all some tricks. So, you ain't always got to buy the burgers from there. Throw it on the griddle, fry it up, you have a cheeseburger. You don't have to put the peppers in there, the onions in there. You can just make burgers. But anywho, so, but we just want to make sure this is good and packed together. Okay. All that good stuff we cooked down in here too. If you need more chickpea flour, It's there. You can just put a little bit in there, but I think mine is packing really well. It's moist. I can see the moisture in it. So as it cooks, it's not gonna dry out. We want it to seal together like a meatloaf and just cook. And then we're gonna top it with some sauce. Oh. Boy, I'm trying to tell y'all better get down. Y'all better go get these ingredients, try it. You're not gonna be disappointed. And give it to somebody who's not vegan, who just give them, say, you want a plate? Make them slice them a piece of this over there. Boy, they ain't even gonna know. They're going, what, this is good. What you put in your meatloaf? That's how you do that. Especially the kids that be like, oh, no, I don't want to eat nuts and walnuts. No, I don't want to eat walnuts and mushrooms. Dion, I used to have to trick my baby boy. He's out of the house now, but I used to make oyster mushrooms and fry them up like chicken. He's like, Mom, I know it ain't chicken. Just taste it. He was like, but it's good though. Because he don't like mushrooms, but he don't like the texture of mushroom. I'm like, no, let me just do it and you taste it. So, yeah. I'm calling you out, Dion. Yes. On YouTube, I'm calling you out. You know you like my vegan food. Anywho. Okay. So, this is packed really well. So, now we're going to get it into our pan. Yeah, I got my pan ready. I got my parchment paper in there. So I like to put parchment paper down in here. You don't have to. You can cut around it. But I want to lift mine out and have it on a tray, a serving platter. So I have parchment paper. So what we're going to do, we're going to get our mixture. Down in here, we're just going to build a loaf. And it makes for easy cleanup too. Oh boy. Yeah, it smells so good, y'all. I'm over here happy because my husband, now he made some greens because we're gonna have some kale. He did some kale and mushrooms, sauteed them down real good, and he's letting them cook. And I'm gonna do some red potatoes. I'm doing some red mashed potatoes. Because I'm trying to make it high alkaline. So I know the red roast potato, you can pretty much have on the alkaline diet. And so this is pretty much a high alkaline meal that I'm making today. And so he did the greens and I'm doing the potatoes. So it's going to be good, y'all. Can't have no cornbread though today, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Like I said, I don't like waste, so I'm trying to get all this out of this pan. See, it's good to have these gloves on hand because you can get dirty. Make sure everything's mixed up in there really good. Get down and dirty. Get down and dirty. Get down and dirty. Get down and dirty. In the kitchen. Okay. I'm just having fun. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. So y'all, we're going to cook this in the oven once we get it all put in here and set up. We're going to put it in the oven. I got mine set on 350. I'll probably cook it for about 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes. I'll just check it. Because you want to make it, because it looks real like gooey. So you want to let it cook till it forms and comes together like meatloaf. So it's done, but we're just really wanting it to seal together now. And it will. You just got to be patient with it. It will. It forms really nicely and it don't crumble apart when you cut it. It slices just like meatloaf. I say that because my other one did. Now I do this one. Be like, man, what happened? It wasn't supposed to be like this. So let me just stop talking. Let me let this baby cook. But look at all that kale, peppers, the parsley, the onions. You can see all the good flavoring in here. You can just see it. Like yes, who wouldn't want to eat this? The mushrooms, and that's why I added a little more mushrooms, even though we got all that mushroom making the meat, but just to have the mushrooms that were just sauteed in here, you can see the mushrooms. So that's why people are like, this is not mushroom. I see the mushrooms, how is it the meat? Voila. 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 Okay, I'm happy. Food makes me happy, y'all. I do. Okay. I think I'm done patting the meat. Okay, so gloves off. In the trash they go. All right, rinse my hands. Even though I had gloves on, just gonna rinse them again. Okay, so we're gonna put this baby in the oven. And kind of seal some of our ends down. Actually, I'm gonna cut a little bit of that off. Even though parchment paper can stay in the oven, I just want to cut some of this excess. My Fitbit's going off. I'm like, I know you ain't telling me I need to move, because as much as I'm moving around. Okay, just cut a little bit of that excess off of there. Okay, so this is gonna go into the oven now. See that, guys? That beautiful loaf. And then I'm gonna just whip up some sauce to go on top. So as it's halfway done, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and sauce it. So you can sauce it with whatever. People like barbecue sauce, people like ketchup, people like a combination of both, people like a sweet and spicy, people like a sweet and sour. However you top your meatloaf, that's fine. I'm gonna lean towards more of a barbecue-ish kind of tomato barbecue-ish kind of topping for mine. I'm gonna work some of these sauces I got in here together to get it to how I want it. I'll let you know what I put on here, but we're gonna go ahead and get this in the oven. All right, so we're gonna let that cook. I'm gonna get some things together, make some sauce. I'll be right back. All right, everyone, so we have completed our meatloaf, our no meat meatloaf, our nut loaf. I had it cooking on 350 for an hour in my oven, so it's been out for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, cooled. So I did do a little glaze on top, and what I did, I made a sort of like my own barbecue sauce, because the barbecue sauce that I had, I didn't want to use. So all I mixed together, I did some of my all natural ketchup, there's no sugar. I added some mustard. I put some coconut aminos. I added some hot sauce. I added a little bit of agave and mixed it up. Came up with a really nice taste here. So I did glaze it slightly. For my oven, for the last 15 minutes, I put a little glaze on top. I still have some left over so that I can glaze the sides of it, you know, if we want more sauce on the sides. But this is what the loaf turned out like. So this is our nut loaf, mock meatloaf. So we did have some, my husband did some greens. He did some kale and mushrooms and onions. He let this cook for a few hours, sauteed, just simmered on the stove. They're really great. I did some red potatoes, red mashed potatoes. I made a savory gravy, a savory onion gravy. And so we're just gonna pair that with our meatloaf. So, and you could do the gravy on top of the meatloaf, however, but let's cut into it and see. So like I said, I cooked mine for an hour. Just to make sure it's set good. You can cook it longer. I had mine on 350. So we're gonna cut into it. I just think it needs to cool a little bit longer. But for the sake of my video, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it open. So I would say let it sit for like at least 30 minutes to cool really good. So let me get this off of here. So this is our slice. Just want to give you guys a good look at that. That is the meatloaf. It looks great. So we can put a little gravy on it if you want, but I'm going to leave it like this. May brush just a little bit more of the sauce on it just because it's meatloaf. And there you have it, our no meat nut meatloaf. So looks pretty, guys. I'm going to take a picture of it So yes, I am. Bear with me. While I take a picture of my dish. Okay. All right. So looks can be deceiving, of course. So we definitely want to have a taste test. So if I can have my wonderful husband, my sidekick, my help in the kitchen, the love of my life, Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Can I have your assistance in the kitchen, please?
You sure can. My favorite time again.
Yes, it is. So
Let's see
he's
what we got here
excited
today, y'all.
because
Yes,
it's
I am.
Sunday and he's ready
Woo-wee.
to eat.
Boy.
So-
Been waiting for this, y'all.
So you know you did the greens, and I wanted to show you guys how he did his greens. Well, let me get a picture of you.
Yeah.
So he was going too quick, and so
Trying to
maybe
get done.
maybe next time you guys can try the greens out, but they're really great. So go ahead and take a bite of them greens in there, or the meatloaf.
Yeah, we're gonna try this first. It's good. It's different. For me, it's different. I mean, it has the texture. It has the texture of ground beef. It's good, y'all. I'm just laughing because it's different. I mean, it's different. You know, it tastes like meatloaf, but I guess it's just a different taste, I would say.
So what you
Or maybe it's the seasoning.
did. Okay.
I think it's probably the seasoning. The like it's the Italian season, what have you. I mean, it has a savory taste to it. Yeah. It has a taste. It has the real savory taste to it. I guess you know how you expecting. I guess you know like meatloaf to taste like meatloaf. You know, this is just a slight bit different. It tastes like meatloaf. I mean, it's got the meat texture, but I think it's the season maybe just you know I'm not used to the season that you have in here.
Okay.
It's just a little different for me.
All
But
right.
other than that, it's really good.
Okay. Well, it's not meat. It's a
I mean,
alternative
yeah.
meatloaf.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. So, well, I want to have another person taste my the meat. So, Ariana,
Yeah.
do you mind helping your Meemaw in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay, you come on over and you tell Meemaw. You give Meemaw your opinion. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna cut it. You want a big piece or a small piece? Small piece, maybe. Okay. Give you some sauce on it. Uh-oh.
It's good.
It's good. That's what I said. It's good,
You
but
like
it's just a little different. Got different taste to it.
Okay, high five.
Yeah.
Let Meemaw taste it then.
Okay.
Because Pawpaw made it seem questionable, so you guys might not want to try it after his review, but it's good. I'm sure.
Well, I think probably you know it's not as tight. Put one thing, it's not as tight as you would like normal, you know, like ground beef. It's not as tight.
Well, that's because it's got to sit. It just came out of
Yeah,
the
I
oven.
understand. That's what I'm
Once
saying.
it rests,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's not nasty or anything like that. Y'all, I mean, it gets 2 thumbs up now, but I'm just saying, you know, it's different.
It's good to me. I mean, like, you're looking for it to be tight, like sliced like meat.
Yeah.
It's not going to do that because it's not meat.
All right.
But for one.
It's just a little, to me, it's just a little loose.
So, yeah, and that comes with cooking it a little
Yeah.
longer or letting it rest. We just
Yeah.
took it out of the oven. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little loose. But other than that,
I like it.
it's good.
It tastes really good. Put some more sauce. But like I said, if you wanted to just rest a little bit longer, so it'll just, because it just came out of the oven. So you're looking at it. Anytime you cook meatloaf, even with ground beef, you got to let it rest. So, but, okay. So, yay, nay.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
It's good.
I didn't get a good God Almighty, but okay. So it's good. Hey, I told y'all he's gonna be honest. So I try it. I think it's amazing. It tastes really good. So try it. If you like it, you know what to do. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. And of course, share the video.
Yeah.
Share it with those who.
It's good, y'all. I'm just kidding because, you know, it's different. It's different for me, you know.
He was a carnivore, and I
Yeah.
like your honest opinion.
Yeah.
Then it's not meat. It's
I know it's not meat, but
Yeah.
it's real close to it.
yeah.
And like I said, it's got the texture, but just not as tight. You know, like hamburger. You know, like a
Right.
little bit tighter. I
Okay.
guess I would say. You know,
Okay.
but it's good.
All right. Well, that's what's for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, subscribe. And of course, just share the video. Let me know what you think about this one. I really want to hear your comments. I want you to make it. Like I said, let it rest for about 30 minutes. I really want to know your comments.
Yeah.
So let me know what you think. If there's anything you think I should add or take away, let me know. I would really like to know that because we're all in this journey together.
Right.
So again, from Cassandra's kitchen into yours. Until next time, we love you.